All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Narrators on Purpose event today. Yeah, so today is, I don't even know what we'll call it yet, but let's just say that we have a session with one of our members and a coach in the house. His name is Solomon Omeruo, and today he's going to be talking to us about finding your voice. Okay, so as you already know, the Narrators on Purpose group is all about, helping us wield the power of our voices. Okay, how do we get better with applying our voices to what we do, whether that be podcasting or audiobook narration or even voiceovers, or even if you're a public speaker or a coach or something, and you're just trying to build capacity in applying your voice, to what you do. All right. So that is what today is about. How do you find your voice? How do you begin to become comfortable in your voice? There is that time in your life, I think everybody has gone through this one before, where the very first time you recorded your voice and you played it back, how did you feel? For me, it was weird. And in my line of work as an audio engineer and as a podcaster editor and as somebody who work a lot on audio, I've heard that feedback over and over again where people are like, no, 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 I don't like the way I sound. I don't like my voice. Well, you have to love your voice the same way you love your face. The same way, if you feel like, oh no, I'm not liking the way my face is looking, you can go ahead and get a particular product to make your skin fresher, to make your skin look cleaner. The same thing you can do to your voice to make your voice better, to hone it, to be confident in it, to use it in spreading the message that you have. And so that is what we're going to be talking about. That's what Mr. Solomon, Coach Solomon Omeruo, is going to be talking to us about today. So without further ado, but before I leave, let me introduce myself in case you don't know me. Of course, my name is already on the screen, but then again, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Ejiro Osakede. I am a media practitioner by personal development and audio engineer by training, but I'm also, just a storyteller, right? I love to share stories. I love to share the stories of people. I love to share inspiring stories, and I love to support people, and I love to celebrate people. That's who I am in a nutshell. So, and I'm the founder of this group, but I have a whole legion of people behind me making things work on this group. So thank you for being here today. For those who just joined, you are welcome to Narrators on Purpose. Feel free to introduce yourself in the group anytime. Of course, it's going to go through review before it is approved, but then just go ahead and introduce yourself, whether you want to use a text or you want to use a video. Just make yourself feel at home. It's a group and we are here for a reason, to use our voice well, okay? So maybe one of the reasons you've not been able to share or introduce yourself yet is because you're still finding your voice. If that's it, you're about to find out how to find that voice and make it work in your favor. All right. So now I'm just going to quickly bring on board Mr. Solomon because he's already in the studio. Hey, hi.
Hi, Drew. Thank you very
Hello.
much.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you? Always lively.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so I'm just going to leave the stage for you now. I'll be in the back end. If you need me, just mention my name and I'll be there. All right, take care. Thank you for coming today. Have a
Sure. Thank you very much. Hi, guys. It's nice to have you around this evening or whatever the time may be where you're watching this from. Yeah, like Adrian said, my name is Solomon Omeruo, and I'm a self-discovery and relationship coach. So today we're going to be talking about finding your voice. I like the example Adrian gave, talking about if you don't like your voice, you enhance it. But first thing is about realizing your voice, finding your voice. And when I mean finding your voice, I'm not really talking about the sound of your voice, which is part of it. When I'm going beyond the sound of your voice, I'm going deep into what the voice is saying and what you want that voice to represent. I'm going to start by running through what we're going to be talking about quickly. So, first of all, I want to talk about what I mean by finding your voice. Then we'll go down to how you can find that voice, which will lead us into self awareness, discovering your strength, and how to create and build confidence in your niche. So
Okay, sorry, we're sorry about that. There was a network problem, and Mr. Solomon was kicked out of the studio unexpectedly. Well, he's back now. We're gonna have him back on. Thank you. What
yeah,
happened?
thank you, Jeremy. I guess it was a network glitch.
Oh, I see. All right, no problem.
Yeah,
Welcome
I'm
back.
back. I'm back in. Yeah, yeah, good. I'm back, and this time I'm staying. No glitches anymore. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm going to be talking about finding your voice, and which goes beyond just the sound of your voice or the sound that comes out from your mouth. Talking about what the voice represents. So I went through what we're going to be talking about, which one of them is how to find your voice, which is going to lead us into self awareness and discovering your strength. And then we'll talk about building confidence in your niche. So I want to start by talking about the story of Steve Harvey. Now, Steve Harvey was working for a company for a period of time, and he was also writing jokes for people. One day, he was invited by a friend to come tell the jokes himself. So he went down there. A lot of things happened along the way, and he was able to go on the stage. For the first time, he had to share his joke. So it's a couple of people. He got paid $50 only, but something changed about him that night, something that changed his life forever. He said he went back home crying all through. Now, it was beyond what he earned, it was just $50. But what really happened there was he discovered his voice. In his own in his own words, he said he had discovered what he was going to do for the rest of his life. And if you're familiar with Steve Harvey, you will know he's a very successful man today. known for comedy and TV hosts. What I'm trying to say is finding your voice goes beyond just the sound of your voice. It's about realizing that thing that makes you stand out. It's discovering your unique gift or passion and using it to impact the world. For Steve Harvey, that night changed his entire life. He discovered that, yeah, I want to tell jokes to the world. I want to make everyone laugh. And ever since he's been telling jokes, he's been using that voice to make people laugh. Not just that, he's been inspiring a lot of people out there with that voice. So, what I'm talking about today is helping you find that voice, that thing, that special gift you're going to be able to deliver to the world and say, this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to be offering, just like Steve. Now, but one can't productively use his or her voice without discovering it. For you to be able to use your voice, for you to be able to say something. Now, remember, anyone out there can make noise. Anyone out there can say something as long as you have a mouth and you're not dumb. You can say something. You can speak about things. But for that thing to make an impact, it has to be unique. It has to be offering something tangible to the world. The question now is, how do you find that part of you? How do you get that unique gift, that passion, that thing that makes you stand out from every other person? That thing that will make people want to listen to your voice and say, yeah, I want to hear what she's saying. I want to hear what he's saying. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And before you can get to that stage, before you can actively use that, you have to go through a process which I call self awareness. Now, self awareness is a conscious knowledge of one's own character and feelings. It's being aware of different aspects of your life, including traits, behaviors, feelings, your uniqueness. That's what I call self awareness. Being able to say, yeah, this is who I am. This is how I behave in certain conditions. This is my strength. This is my weakness. And this is my gift. Now, I'm going to tell you a bit about my story. Um, Growing up, I literally wanted to be successful. I wanted to be good at everything. So what I did was I just kept on imitating people. I go around, see something I admire, I copy the person. So for me, everything good was worth admiring, which wasn't a bad thing. But to an extent, I started losing myself. So I ended up copying different people. I had an unstable emotion, an unstable character rather. Literally, what I was doing was I look at Mr. A today and go, I like this thing he's doing. I start copying it. So today I'm Mr. A. Tomorrow, I don't like what Mr. A feels like. I start copying Mr. B. It was just me here today and me there tomorrow. A lot of conflict was going on in my mind because that wasn't really who I am. In search of answers, I started looking for books, reading books, going through articles. And one day I stumbled on a statement in a book, and that changed my life. That statement says, self discovery is the first step to true freedom. Self discovery is the first step to true freedom. Funny enough, I didn't finish that book. I closed it up and I was like, whoa, this is what I've been looking for. Now, what I did was I closed the book and I started inquiring about that statement. I went into the classroom. I started asking people, I was like, who do you think I am? Who would you say Solomon is? A couple of people thought I was being crazy, while others gave me responses. So what I did was I brought back a response and then I asked myself, who am I? How will I explain myself to other people? Now this started a journey that lasted for years and is still on at the moment. I started becoming self-aware, becoming conscious of myself. I started with things like trying to know my favorite food, favorite color. It's a simple thing, but these were the few steps I took. I wanted to know what really stood out for me, what my feelings were. Everything that happened around me didn't go uninterpreted. Everything within and without was taken account of. So I literally was like writing things down, taking note of everything. I wanted to know who Solomon is, what I wanted to be, what stood out for me. And as time goes on, everything started changing because I realized these were things that made me happy. These were things that made me unhappy. This is the best part of me. This is how I will thrive better. So all of these things became a giant shape or mold for what I would represent or what I would become later. Now, what I'm trying to say here is for you to really be a voice out there, for you to be able to stand for something or make impact, you have to understand yourself. You have to understand what is or what matters for you rather. Which I'll say the first thing is first of all finding what you're passionate about, something that stands out for you. So what I did was I started trying different things, exploring new things. I'll try this one. I'm like, no, I don't think I like this. I'll try the other one. I'll be like, no, I don't think I like this other one. I kept on doing new things and it was fun. But along the line, I was learning a lot of things about myself. So I could, if you ask me this about myself or what my response will be, it was very quick. There were things I could say, yes, this is what I would do. This is what this is the way rather I will act in a certain situation. So the first step is discovering yourself, becoming self aware of the things that happen around you and inside of you. Now, how do you do that? Like I said, you explore new areas, try new things, pick up a thing, try it, see how it resonates with you, see if you like it or not. If you don't, you drop it, you try something else. A lot of us have gone through this process, so we may be familiar with what this is. But if you're not familiar with it, if you want us to talk more about this, you can leave a comment and we'll talk more about it at the end or some other time. Now, the next step is you enhancing yourself, gathering knowledge in your chosen field. So after you've gone through the process of self-awareness and self-discovery, you realize that there are certain things that catch your interest, certain things you want to do, what you want to spend your time with, what you think you can offer to the world, you can be a professional in. What you start doing is you start enhancing yourself in that field. Get knowledge. It's beautiful nowadays because it's very easy to get knowledge. You could do a couple of things together. Earlier on, I released a video rather on how to source knowledge and save time. So you could literally get a earphone and get knowledge even while traveling, even while doing some home chores. So it's easy to gather knowledge these days. So what you want to do is you want to get more information about your choosing field, improve on it. Now, after that, you also want to start taking note of your weaknesses and your strength. This is very important. Every human being has a strength or has a couple of strength. Yeah, I wouldn't say strength. I'll say a couple of strength and weaknesses as well. So if you really want to be out there, you need to know what is going to be your strength and what is your weaknesses. This way you can juggle things and manage things together. Now, most people spend time trying to work on their weaknesses, like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. If I spend more time in doing this, I can do it better. No, I don't suggest that. What I suggest is spend more time building up your strength and then use your strength to complement your weakness. I'll say that again. Spend more time building on your strength, improve on your strength. It's okay to build your weakness, but spend more time on your strength rather than just going there and say, oh, I don't know how to do this, I must learn it. No. What I'll suggest you do is instead of spending so much time on your weakness, look for a system that complements your weakness. I'll give you an example. Now, um, I used to work for a real estate firm or a holiday home company, literally. So I had a colleague that was very good in typing emails. For me, I'm not very good at typing. Like I can type, but it's usually boring for me. So I struggle to type things when they're so long. But I had this colleague. She loves to type. She can type very fast. But on the other side, she doesn't like to talk. Like she doesn't want to be in a meeting that involves conversations. And for me, I could easily go through 10 meetings or more than 10 meetings in a day, talking and talking. It doesn't change anything. I even enjoy doing it. But typing, no, that becomes a struggle. So what I did was literally, if I have something to type, I tell it to her, she types them. And if she wants to go for a meeting, she goes like, "Oh, can you go with me to this meeting?" And she fills me in on everything she wants to talk about in the meeting, and I'm there talking the whole thing, doing the whole talking for her rather. But once it's time to type a long email, I'm like, "Hey, can I tell you everything about this email?" And you type it, and she does that with joy. Ta, 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 everything is down there, and she's happy about it. So I'll say you look for a strong system or a community that complements your weakness while you build your strength. Secondly, I also suggest you look for a way to complement your weakness with your strength. So rather than just depending on people, you could also look for other ways you can do it. Technology has made it very easy these days for us to do that. Now, like I said earlier, I don't really enjoy typing, but at some point, you just can't always depend on someone to do your typing for you. So, what I do is I look for a way to make it easier or more fun. For example, if I have something very long to type and I feel like sitting down is going to take a lot of time, or I don't feel motivated to start writing, I get a recorder. You can get a recorder on your phone. I record whatever I want to type into the phone, and that way I can play it in my ear while I'm listening to it. I'm typing them, so it becomes easier rather than sitting down and say, okay, I'm trying to generate the topic or the knowledge in my head and I'm typing. I just record it immediately. I feel motivated, and then later on I can type it. Or there's also an option on your computer where you could use the voice rather than type it. You could just click on that. I think most people don't know about it. You could just click on that and you start saying words into your computer and it types it for you. So it's just finding a way around your weakness. Now, another thing you want to do when building out a niche for yourself or creating a voice for yourself is you don't get bottled up in perfection. A lot of people just let perfection ruin the idea for them. They want to start something and they have this idea of trying to make it perfect. I'm going to tell you something. Perfection comes with consistency. You don't just wake up one morning, do something, and it's perfect. No, it's okay to try and make things perfect, but if you get all bottled up in that perfection trap, you may never do things. So my suggestion is keep doing things, keep trying things. If you feel you can do this, try it out. If you fail at it or if you make a mistake, the next time you try it, you correct it. Keep on doing it. So as long as you show up, you do your thing, and you're consistent, you're always going to be improving. And also remember, consistency is very important. Most people will say Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's very true. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it gets better. So consistency is another important part of finding your voice. Another one is building a niche for yourself. So when you get consistent with something, you begin to realize how good you are at that thing or not, or possible options, or probably sub options where you could you could relate with better. Another important part, like I said, is finding your niche. A niche is a place or a position where someone is particularly appropriate with or thrive better in. So once you find your niche, you start looking. Now, this is what finding your niche does for you. It narrows you down. You don't want to be a jack of all trades. Okay, you know this, you know that, but you're not a master of any of them. You want to be somewhere you're going to be. Let me use that word for lack of a better word. Somewhere you're going to be a master in. You say, okay, yes, I know this very well. I can talk to people about it. I can impact people in this particular area. So build your niche and strengthen your confidence in your niche. Like I said earlier, consistency is what helps you do this. As long as you're consistent, you keep improving in your niche, and it becomes easier to say, yes, I'm a master in this thing, or I can confidently do this. Another important part of finding your voice is understanding that failure is a part of the process. That seems to be like the part where people go like, oh no, I don't want to listen to this, or no, I don't want to fail. But this is the truth. Failure is part of the process. The more you fail, the more you get better at things, the more you understand your mistakes. So whenever you experience failure or setback, you don't let it throw you off. You don't let it take you out of the game. Understand that it's part of the process. So you don't give up, you pick yourself up, dust yourself, and look for better ways to go around it. And finally, authenticity is another important part of finding your voice. Like I said from the beginning, everyone out there has something to say. Everyone out there is good at one thing or the other. And whatever you're trying to do or whatever you're doing at the moment, a lot of people before you and around you are doing the same thing. But what makes you stand out is you being the real you. Every one of us may look alike or have the same characteristics, but there's no one like you exactly. There's no one that looks exactly like you, has the same thing you have. So when you mix you into anything you do, it becomes different. So you want to be authentic, and I've listened to a couple of interviews, a lot of biographies and autobiographies, and I've realized that for people who stand out, it's all about them being themselves, them saying, "This is what I have to offer." I know everyone has done it before, or most people have done it before, but I'm doing it again my own way. So you want to be authentic. You want, no matter how it sounds, that's you. And the truth about authenticity rather, forgive me, is that it sometimes comes with standing alone. So you wanting to be authentic, you have to be ready to stand alone and say yes for a period of time. You're going to be standing alone until that becomes a norm, until you're able to sell your voice to people and they say yes, we think this is what we want. So you should have that at the back of your mind. So I'm going to be rounding it off here. I'd like to hear your questions. I'd like to hear your thoughts. We need to understand all of this, and yeah, it's a process that may take time, that may involve struggles. Or if you want your voice to be heard, you need to be ready to go through this process. So I'll be waiting around for a while to hear if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them.
My mic is muted. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I still can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. That was really a great share. I love it. I love it. I love it. First of all, I love the first opening part where you said that, finding your voice goes beyond the sound of your voice, right? It's about discovering what your unique strength is and serving the world with it. Thank you for sharing that. So, for some reason, I think along the line, Facebook just stopped streaming on the group. So I
Oh,
think it was
really?
someone. So yeah, so it's just streaming to YouTube right now. So I'm going to have to share the link to the group afterwards so that people can watch the replay. But it's still going on YouTube. So thank you very much. Wow, thank you so much. I see two people watching. So please, if you have a question, please send that in so that Solomon can respond to that. I love how you said knowing your strength and managing your weaknesses, how you can complement your weaknesses. How you can complement your weaknesses. Yes, like, so you have this weakness, but then you can look
Yeah.
for ways or systems to complement it so that it doesn't appear. But when it comes to working on the weakness, how would you suggest that people work around it? Because you
Okay.
mentioned that focus on the strength that you have so that you get better at it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, if you are always complimenting the weakness, how do you get to grow on it?
Yeah. Okay. So usually for me, one thing I have come to understand is everyone or I can't be good at everything. Once you have that at the back of your mind, you stop trying to juggle everything. So that realization takes off a lot of load from you. Then you can spend time. Okay, this is it. So I usually apply the 80-20 rule. So it's not like, okay, I'm not good at this, and then you just throw it away. No, of
Mm,
course you can work on it, or I apply the 80-20 rule. So 80% on my strength, and then 20% of my time to build my weakness. So it's just trying to bring that weakness to a level where I can say, okay, so it
I'm
doesn't affect the
manageable.
work.
Mm,
I can just manage it. I can show up and say, okay, do something. But as long as I realize I just may not be so perfect at this, but there is something else I can be very good at. So I concentrate on that thing, spend more time and build it.
because what you focus on, you can improve, right? So the more you
Exactly.
focus
Yeah.
on your strength, the better you get at the strength, and that way, it's actually easier for you to find your voice in that area because a lot of people now know, oh, if when they talk about that thing or that niche or that industry, they can call your name as one of the top people to say, oh, when it comes to that, please go and read Solomon because he's great at that because you've now spent more time focusing on your strength. I love it. Thank you so,
Absolutely.
so, so, so much. Thank you so much. I
Thank
love
you.
I love what you said about authenticity. That authenticity is important, to finding your voice. But then, if you want to be authentic, you have to stand alone. How do
Standalone.
you
Yeah.
draw the line? How do you draw the line between standing alone out of authenticity and standing alone because you are just being stubborn?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a very thin line. Yeah. That's a very good question. It's a very thin line. So first of all, this is how I put it. Now, when you create something there, I think there is a part of you most times. Okay, let me start this way. Now, if you go through the process of self awareness and self discovery, you will know that at certain points, there are times where you have to sit alone and tell yourself the truth. So over the while, if you've gone through that process, you've realized certain things about you and say, okay, this is where I get things wrong. This is where I know things are fine. So if you've gone through that process, there's some part of you that is always going to sit you down and be like, oh no, you made the mistake. So I'm not really into much of meditations and yoga and all of these things, but I do read such books and listen to that. So there's a stage you get to, you have this communication with yourself, with your soul, and it calls you to order and say, no, that thing you're doing is not very good. So I think if you cross that path, once you start standing alone because you're being stubborn, deep down you will know. Most
Mm.
people who stand alone because they're stubborn, it's more about pride. When they go like, "Oh no, I don't. it has to be my
Don't need
way."
anybody.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've gone past that stage, you will know when it's pride. Deep down in there, you know, okay, yes, this is pride talking to me, not me doing my thing.
Fantastic. I love it. So what I hear from that part is you just being aware of yourself, being
Yeah,
aware of, and always in that position to always question yourself to say, okay, am I being authentic? Am I paying attention to the feedback that I'm getting from outside so that I can make adjustments and become a better person? Or am I just closed up and saying, I'm authentic, oh, this is who I am, this is my authentic.
yeah, yeah. I
So
get that
I
part.
think in
Feel like
being
this is authentic
authentic,
me.
yeah. So I think in being authentic, you still need to be authentically, um, authentically aware of the way that people perceive you as well, because it's also
Yeah,
important.
I think I like the way there's a letter I read earlier about Abraham Lincoln's letter to his son's teacher. So there's a line I love there so much. He says, "Listen to all." I may not be able to say it exactly the way it is in that letter, but he talked about listen to every suggestion or every advice and filter them with the truth. So if you're being self-aware, you should be able to listen to people and say, okay, this person is saying this person is saying this. But then you filter them in your heart, in your mind with the truth. So that's one important part. But you being authentic doesn't mean you shut your ears to the world or to other people because they are the one listening to you. They're the one that are going to give you feedback. So you get the feedback and then you filter them and say, okay, this is real, or this is this person trying to change me from me being myself.
And you see, that is why you even need to know yourself first before then
Exactly.
sharing the
Yeah.
message. Because if you don't, sometimes those feedback might just catapult you to the back and say,
Yeah.
hey, so it's like
Throw your balance.
it's all tied together. First, you discover who you are, you discover your purpose, you discover your voice, you are sure of it, be rooted in it, and then you enhance that voice by putting your message out there. But at the same time, in you doing that and being authentic, is that you're going to get feedback. So you should be authentic enough to get those feedback, to work on yourself, to improve on yourself. But if you knowing yourself is not strong enough, it can actually
Yeah.
affect you. The feedback that you're getting can actually affect you, because not everybody will hear you for what you're saying. Not everybody will accept you for who you are. People will come with their own perception of you. And so if you don't really know, if you're not sure 100% of who you are, then it affects you. I mean, I feel like some of us, or most people, might have gone through that stage at some point in their lives or in their career or in
Yeah.
their journey of finding purpose, and just that place where you are sure, like, this is what I'm called to do. And then you go out and do it, and then the feedback you got is like, hey, I
Yeah.
don't know who I am again. You
And then
go
you
back.
feel you're crazy.
But I think that's why it's important. I was having a conversation earlier today. I think that's why it's important to always, like you said, I love when you said put systems in place to work on your weaknesses, because it helps you, like, just have a system around you where you're always checking, always checking. Am I still on my authentic goal? Am I still in line with what I set out to do? Or have I started to change? Because sometimes we actually divert totally, like we have gone 360 without even knowing it, without being aware, based on the kind of feedback we're receiving. So I think it's just a lot of balance. It's just a lot of balance,
Yeah.
and learning how to balance things up. Thank you so
Yeah.
much tonight.
Someone just sent me a message because I posted the link on my WhatsApp as well.
Okay,
So someone
okay.
sent me a message on my WhatsApp. The question says, do you think being extrovert is an advantage or being introvert?
Ah,
So yeah.
okay, answer. Answer, I can
Yeah.
add mine.
So yeah, I think there's none of them that is a disadvantage. Both of them can be strength. It just boils down to what works for you. For me, I think if I be an introvert so much, nothing is going to happen because I'm just going to be there like, no. Yeah, so for most introverts, they're amazing thinkers. You just keep quiet there and they solve the whole world right in their silence. But for me, if you put me down in somewhere and I'm quiet for so long, it means I'm not giving you any inputs. There's nothing going on in my head. I just don't want to talk. You get. So yeah, anytime you see me and I'm like just seated and I don't want to say anything for a very long time, it means I don't want to be part of it. It's not me being an introvert. So there's no disadvantage in any of them. It's about you using yourself or your skill better to impact your world. So if you're an introvert, stick with it. and you can do amazing things with it as long as you understand yourself and you can put yourself out there. So I don't think any of them does something better.
I would like to add to that is that you being an introvert or extrovert is still part of this journey of you knowing who you are. Because I mean, there are a lot of resources out there, personality tests that will help you understand the way you are wired. So if you're an introvert, you have a strength. But then
Yeah,
it's just balancing it up because even as an introvert, so if you have a voice as an introvert, like you have a message, you have something that you want to share with the world. Being an introvert should not stop you. That's the only point. Being an introvert should not stop you from using that voice and sharing that message. And that means that in the moment that you want to share that message, it might push you out of your comfort zone to actually
yeah,
share. And then you can go back to your shell and be your introverted person. On the other hand, being an extrovert is not always somebody who takes time to reflect or introspect. Like they just
yeah. We
want to
just,
we're everywhere. I'm an extrovert. We're everywhere. Ba, 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 ba.
yeah,
But then we have to balance it up with always creating time to go back and sit down and really think and look at our life and what we're doing from like an outside view, like from an outside and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? Right? Sometimes not
yeah.
even about doing it wrong. It's just how can I be better? How can I better
True.
relate with people? How can I connect better with people? Because for extroverts, we are so like out there, and sometimes it stops there. Like I can meet you today, I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And that's it.
Yeah, I
It
can
ends
relate to
there.
that.
Do you
True.
understand? It ends there.
Yeah,
But an introvert might not quickly warm up to you. But once they warm up to you, they are there for life or for a
they're
long
locked in. Yeah,
time. Exactly. Right? So that means that for you, it's not it's more like a weakness and a strength thing. But once you understand who you are, exactly what Solomon said earlier, once you understand which one you belong to, if you are an extrovert, you know you're an extrovert, then begin to look at how does your extrovertedness help or put you in a situation where some part of your life are not going well. So you now put systems in place to help you. So if you're an extrovert, then you probably need to have friends around you who would help you call you home. Like every time, maybe your accountability
yeah,
partnership an introvert that will call you and say, come, 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 it's time to think, come, let's think, right? And if you're an introvert, you have somebody who is an extrovert who will say, come on, you can do this. Okay, let's go. I'll introduce you, and you can do the thing. And that's it. So just find system to complement. There is no better, there is no bad or good. It's just how you see it and how you use it per time. Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. I like what you said. I like the part of getting an accountability partner. I think one of the things I usually tell people is relationships are very good lifelines. It's good to build a community of for people that can complement you. I don't think anyone can go through life succeeding
No,
alone. No, there's nothing like a self-made man, in my own understanding.
there's
Indirectly or directly, yeah, people contribute. So getting that community is an important part of finding your voice and knowing yourself, because there
absolutely.
should be always people out there to give you feedback, responses, and say, okay, this is what it truly is or really is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Solomon. This has been a very fantastic discussion. I really do hope that for people who are live, you've enjoyed it, even though we didn't see your comments and all of that, but we hope that you've enjoyed it. And for those who are going to watch this later on, I hope that you are able to send in your questions if you have any. Remember that the video is going to be on the NOP group, so you can always ask your questions even after the live session, and we'll continue the engagement on the group. And if you're watching this from YouTube and you're like, oh, what's NOP about? NOP is Narrators on Purpose, where we have a growing community of people who have a voice and they want to, wield the power of their voice, whether as a podcaster, as an audiobook narrator, as as a speaker, as a poet. They just want to be in a community of like-minded people where we are always engaging and supporting each other and pushing each other to get better and sharing resources that will help us, hone our voice and use our voices better. That's what Narrators on Purpose is all about. So if you want to be a part of it, just go to YouTube, go to Facebook and search Narrators on Purpose, or you can just click www.facebook.com/group/narrators on purpose, one word, and you'll find us. Of course, it's a closed group, and so we would like to know why you want to be a part of our group. So there are a set of questions that you answer. Once you answer those questions at the gate, we will give you the free pass to be a member of the group. All right. So that's what NLP is all about. And we're putting together a lot of such trainings like this or conversations that will help us think through how we can become better users of our voices. There's going to be a session on Thursday, and this one is for people who are interested in podcasting. We're bringing in a pro podcaster in to come and teach us how to podcast like a pro. So if you're interested or thinking or playing around with the idea of podcasting, this Thursday, 7 p.m. West African time, you can be a part of that class or that session with our guest speaker all the way from the UK. She's going to be talking to us and teaching us how to podcast like a pro. You can be a part of that as well. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight's session. Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon, for sharing your
Thank you very
wisdom.
much.
I really appreciate you. So our sessions with Mr. Solomon is going to be coming up every other week. So it's twice a month. So this now is the last week of April. So the next time you're going to be seeing his face on the screen will be the second week of May. All right. And he's going to be talking to you about something else. You're going to get information about that if you're on the NOP group, or you can follow me or Mr. Solomon on Instagram. His username is Dr. S.N. Umeru.
Omeruo.
Dr. S. Yeah,
DRSOMERUO.
Yes, Omeruo on Instagram, and mine is Ejiro Osakede on Instagram. So you can connect with us so that you can have an idea of what we're working on from now. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic night
Thank
wherever
you,
you
Ejiro.
are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.